cell, this one here, about 50 prisoners could sleep inside here, 50. Sometimes even more than 50. They could sleep. Especially in the 60s, prisoners were packed in these cells. And in the 60s, many prisoners died in the cells because of tuberculosis, TB. You die there, you're not buried here. You're buried there, yet around Cape Town. There's a place called Belleville, Stackland Cemetery. That's why they were buried there as paupers. The beds inside were introduced in 1980. The 60s and the 70s, no beds on the floor with the 2 mats that you see here. No sheets, no pillows, with only 2 blankets. Same blankets you can sit on the bed. And these 2 mats, doesn't matter how tall you are, you have to sleep on the 2 mats. Right? Mr. Mandela was a tall guy. He was sleeping here. These 2 mats will go against the wall, the mats will touch the wall. The mats will be starting from that corner, right up to the corner. Other mats from the corner there, right up to the, just before the bathroom. In the middle here, you can walk and go to where you sleep. Now, here is a dice scale that I promised to show you outside as to how prisoners were given food in the 60s and the early 70s. In the 80s, when I was here, no one was given food in this manner. In the 80s, we were together. We shared everything equally amongst ourselves. But the 60s and the early 70s, it will be colors and Indians this side. And this side it will be Bantus. Bantus Africans. They are the only main political person that will get in Rwanda when given food, not the same. The colors of the Indians will be given much better food than the Bantus. Female political prisoners, not here in Rwanda. Female political prisoners were in Kronstadt. It's in the Free State province. Like our minister today in defense and military veterans, Thandi Modise. She was a prisoner there in Kronstadt. White political prisoners also not here. A lot of white people fought fighting against the apartheid system, but not in Rwanda. They were locked in Pretoria Central Prison. People like Derek Haneford, Carl Niehaus, they were there in Pretoria. The only white prisoner sent to Rwanda, and some of you know the gentleman, he worked in the parliament in Cape Town. We're not sure whether the case was political. It was never reported to the public as to why the gentleman, Mr. Dimitri Tsafendas, stabbed our Prime Minister, Dr. Hendrik Verwoerd, with a knife to death in the parliament in 1966. After being sentenced to life in prison by the courts, he was sent to Rwanda. He didn't stay long here. He was just here for 3 weeks. He was then taken back to Pretoria Central Prison. You can see here the dice scale, the color, and the Indians. They will be given bread at lunch and supper. And the Bantus, Phuza instead of bread. Phuza is a powder that you mix with water and then you eat it. They'll be given 6 ounces of meat, Bantus will get 5 ounces. Gems will they get, Bantus get nothing. All the different ounces of food. It wasn't only about food. Even when it comes to prison before, the color of the Indians will get, they wear long trousers, shoes down there, shirts, even jackets in winter. You come to the Bantus Africans, no shoes down there. They wear shorts, shirts only, not even a joke. This did not only apply here in Rwanda. No, every prison around South Africa, prisoners were treated in this manner. It was a law of the country. We were not equal before the law. It was during apartheid time. That's why in my country we had white schools. There were Indian schools, colored schools, and Bantu schools. We started realizing positive changes in this country in 1994. It was the first time we black people went out there and we cast our vote. We never voted before in this country. The first time in 1994. The first time we see a black president in this country, Mr. Nelson Mandela, then apartheid was abolished. We are a better country today in South Africa. I can be a neighbor of everybody today. I can even take my children to any school around the country. enter any restaurant, hotel, sit next to me. We don't have those places written whites only, like before. Anything that we produce in this country, we can take it all over the world and trade with many countries around the world. It's much better. It wasn't like that before. South Africa was sanctioned, economic sanctions. We were isolated, boycotted in this world. It's like sport. We were never allowed in any sporting body around the world. Our guys in cricket and in rugby, it was difficult for them to go to England, Australia, New Zealand, many other countries around the world. The anti-apartheid movements, they were all over the world. They made it difficult for them to play in those stadiums. But look, today in rugby, you are the number one in the world. We're very good in rugby. You beat everyone. I'm not joking about cricket. India is very good. Yeah, I watched the game. Oh, they're good. They're good. They're good. In soccer we're good. You know very well. We got Bafana. Yes. Yes. You don't follow sport. They are very good. Right. This one here. It's very small. Very, very small. Always in your pocket. If they need to see it, you must be able to produce it. Every morning, when they open the door here, come to inspect us inside here, you should be standing next to your bed, holding your small cup in front of you. The information in this card is a true information. It's of Mr. Billy Naya from KwaZulu-Natal province. Unfortunately, it's not with us. He was very old and very sick. His prison number here on top, very important. You must know your prison number, because when they call you, they'll never use your name. They'll call you with numbers in this prison. He was 6'9", /6'4", meaning he was number 69 to arrive in Rwanda in 1964. He was even here before Mr. Mandela, but they came the same year. Mr. Mandela was number 466 to arrive in Rwanda in 1964, and number 18 in 1983. Billy's crime was sabotage. He was sentenced for 20 years in Rwanda. You've done it all. In my country, if you're a political person at that time, you had to do all your sentence. You had no parole, no remission, nothing. You have done that. There's a date of sentence, the date of discharge down there. His fingerprints, his religion, on top you can see group. That's one thing that we didn't like in prison, the grouping. The grouping divided us in prison. It caused a lot of confusion amongst us. We didn't want it, it was forced to us. The aim was to divide us in prison, and of course, yes, it divided us. Every prisoner, when he arrived here, he first became a D group. D group are those without discipline, and those who have just arrived, new prisoners. If you behave well, they'll promote you to C. The following year, B, until you become an A group. You're much better than A. If you're an A group in prison, you could study. You could study with any college around the country. If you study at the university, you study through UNISA, University of South Africa. It was a privilege, not a right, to study in this school. You don't behave well, they take your study right. You don't study anymore. They've done that with many prisoners. The A groups also, they could get a lot of visitors per month. The visitor center is down at the harbor. They'll escort you down there. They'll want you to speak to family matter. You speak politics, they stop the visit. They take you back to your cell. A visit was 30 minutes. They could also buy a newspaper, a packet of cigarette, tea, coffee, biscuits, and all. The newspaper will be taken to Sansa's office. They will cut what is politics in the newspaper. They take it out. No politics. They leave you with a sports section. Now, some of those A groups, they became very, very selfish. When they buy, they just buy for themselves and not share with others. They are the only ones who were allowed to receive money from their families when they get to visit them, any amount of money. That's what caused problems amongst them. In some sections, we hear about the fightings, the quarrels, when you ask why, because of this grouping system. So we had to do something about it. So it's like, every Wednesday we cooked what we call samosa. Many prisoners didn't like the samosa because of the taste. Right? Because I also didn't like it. It's brownish in color when it's cooked. When you look at it, it looks like a mincemeat. But when you taste it, oh, not good. So the egg groups wouldn't eat that. They'll open their tins of fish or tins of beef. They'll start enjoying their meal. Like cigarette. It's luxury in prison. And it was only for the A groups. If you're not an A group, the issue with the tobacco. The tobacco is out of the paper. Very strong, the tobacco. We call it machalis in prison. You could change the color of your teeth. If you smoke it raw as it is, you'll see after some weeks, blood will come out from your gums. So you should take it into the bathroom, you wash it first, put it outside to get dry. Much better. It's a bit like the normal straw. While the A groups will be smoking cigarette, not sharing with the others. So we all met the ANC, the PAC, AZAPO, SOPO from Namibia. We went to the prison hall. The prison hall is next to the kitchen. And we took a decision to go into hunger strike. We don't eat, all of us. Hunger strike was the only weapon that we could use for the prison authority to listen to us. Very strenuous for us working in the kitchen. You must cook. It's a prison law. Take food to all the sections around you. No one will touch the food. We'll have to come back, collect those pots, full as they are, back to the kitchen, breakfast, lunch, and supper. The prison orders were all white, all of them, African speaking. But there were those who were very good to us, those who sympathized with us. They would smuggle the information outside. And after some days, we'll see people picketing here in Cape Town, at the parliament, some at the union buildings in Pretoria. It put pressure on the government. Our lawyers came to Robben Island. We had our lawyers here in Cape Town, the Maliniks. They came here and they said, we've been sent by your leaders. They say you should suspend the hunger strike. You must start eating now. We listened to our lawyers. We started eating after 11 days without food in our stomach. That was in 1988. We saw better food in the kitchen, enough blankets in winter. When we started having hot water there in the showers, the water was salty. The whole Robben Island seawater, you couldn't drink it. You could just wash your hands and you go in the water. You know how seawater is. You can't take any soap and wash your body with it. You just stick it into skin. You don't make it foam. There was a shampoo that we used in this prison. Very good, the shampoo. You could wash your body very well with it. Fresh water to drink will come to the boat from Cape Town. You will take it to the kitchen. We will distribute the water to all the sections around here. Also in a big cell, this one, there are two small intercom speakers. One here, there's another one over there. The two small speakers are for communication. In case one is not feeling well, especially at night when you are not inside, somebody is sick, there is a button that you can press in the speaker. You speak to those on duty that night. They'll bring a medical officer inside there. That prisoner will be taken down there to the hospital. The two small speakers, very, very powerful. They could hear anything that we're discussing in this house. They never wanted politics in this prison. But from the party that I come from, every evening after being locked inside here, I must spend 2 hours of my time in a political class. We have learned a lot of things in this house. We're together with learned people in this house. Amongst us are the doctors, lawyers, mathematicians, you name them. We learn from each other. This is where I started knowing the right history of my country, about my country. But once a year that you are busy speaking politics yourself, you'll come at night when you're sleeping, they wake you up. Everyone next to his bed. They'll start searching. They find something political in your belonging, they will take it. You'll be punished. You go to C section, punishment section. You are alone in the small cell. You sleep on the floor. They switch off the lights. You have no communication with other prisoners. You get 1 meal per day, not a good one, and a small cup of water daily. You can be there. 2 months, 3 months alone in the school cell. Some of our guys will be very weak after finishing their punishment. They must be taken to the hospital to be treated there. We ended up now cutting boxes, the same size of the intercom speakers. You double the boxes, put some old blankets inside there. When you start talking politics, we close the 2 small speakers. They will switch off the lights around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. The bathroom light will always be on. Those who are studying, they will take their books inside the bathroom, they continue to study inside there. Robben Island became a museum in 1997. People were allowed to come and visit here. Robben is a Dutch word, it means seal, seal island.